It was the debut of Caleb Williams, who the number 1 draft pick from USC, goes to the Bears. A lot of talk about him being set up in a way that no other number 1 draft pick at quarterback has ever been set up.
Might be a wee bit extreme, but
I don't know. I mean, there aren't, because usually, as you know, guys go to the worst team. And the Bears were a 7-win team last year that really played well over the second half of the season. They have they added Keenan Allen as a receiver, drafted Rome Odunze, was a great college receiver, already had, DJ Moore. I mentioned the defense. Like they got DeAndre Swift, who's a good running back, was great in Philadelphia last year. So, I mean, they put a lot around him. He has a lot around him and a lot of expectations for this team. Some, Rob, have even picked them to reach the Super Bowl, which no rookie has ever led a team to the Super Bowl.
Who was that? Did they write for the Chicago?
Nick Wright.
Nick Wright,
one of my co-hosts on First Things
He picked
First.
them to go to the Super Bowl?
Picked them to go to the Super Bowl.
So, again, Nick will wear his nickname of Nick Wrong, okay? Because Super Bowl.
They ain't going to the Super Bowl.
What did he say today on the show? Did he? My God. He
Chris, said we just talked more about Caleb, who was not good. But as far as the Bears, he basically said, look, this is perfect because Caleb's got to go through growing pains and he's going to get better. And their defense showed that it's legit. And, I didn't agree with him, but this is what he said. Defense was legit. We still won a football game with him playing poorly. But here's how poorly he played, Rob. He was bad. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was one of the worst debuts of a number 1 pick in recent memory. He was 14 for 29, that's like 48%. 93 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. And I did a little digging. And Rob, there have been 8 quarterbacks drafted number 1 in the last 10 years. And of the 8, Caleb Williams is the only one not to throw for 100 yards or more. Every other one threw for at least 130. And that includes Bryce Young, who's just had a horrible start to his career, who was drafted, last year, number 1. And then Caleb had the lowest completion percentage of any of them at 48.3%. Jameis Winston was only 48.5%, but still, obviously, Caleb lower than him. And but I guess if you want to look at the glass as half full, Caleb was the first number 1 pick to win his first game ever in the NFL since David Carr back in 2002. That was 14 number 1 picks had gone 0-14, 0-14-1, I guess. Kyler Murray tied. So there you have it, Rob. He also had, I believe, the second lowest passer rating. I think it was the second lowest passer rating. I think Bryce Young was lower, but it wasn't good. But what were your thoughts?
There's a mixed bag. Obviously, it wasn't what people had expected, and there's a big difference. We talk about it between preseason and the regular season and all that. Yes. There were a couple plays that I'm sure he would love to have back. There was a throw down the sidelines, Chris, that he overthrew. That would have been a big play. Yep. At least one I know that was really
a few.
Yeah. And then I would talk about, I'm not making excuses. Keenan Allen dropped a touchdown, which would have changed a little bit of how he looked in the situation. That's just.
It was a kind of a duck the way he threw. It wasn't like a spiral, but
he still was dropped.
It was on point.
Yeah. And my point is, it's just it wasn't exactly what he would have wanted. But I look at it as he's going to build off of it and get better. I believe in him. I'm not saying he's going to be MVP of the league, but I think some of the stuff that people are just over the top. I saw him play major college football against a lot of good schools and put up a lot of numbers. And I just think it takes time as well as we do. Everybody doesn't just jump in. Everybody's not a C.J. Stroud. He's the outlier for most people. And we talk about all the time, Chris, there's a lot of guys who have to find their way, and a lot of guys don't play right away. Aaron Rodgers, we talk about, one of the all-time greats, sat for 3 years. Patrick Mahomes sat his first year.
So you think Caleb will be a star?
I think he has the potential to be a star. Yeah, I'm going to say he will be a star with this team, with the Bears, and be a franchise quarterback. And I think what will help him is that he doesn't have to light it up because they do have a defense. He don't need to come out and light it up, but make smart plays because he has a defense that can keep him in games. And that's what we saw in this situation. I mean, what were they down, 17-0? Was it 17?
17-3, I
17-3?
believe it was.
You normally am winning a game like that, Chris. 17.
No, they got a touchdown off a block punt and actually the touchdown return. Block punt, touchdown return.
And
then they got a pick six, which was a horrible play by Will Levis, the quarterback, second-year quarterback for Tennessee. I mean,
what a choke! If you're Tennessee, I mean, God. They had to be.
Well, they're not a very good team. A lot of people, including myself, have them finishing last in the AFC South. Although I did pick them to win this game, and I thought I had it until Will Levis just started screwing up. They were down 17-0. 17-3 at halftime was their lead. And then, like I said, they got the block.
So what was it?
17-3? 17-3 at halftime, but it was 17-0.
That's what I thought, 17-0.
In the second quarter.
Right, okay.
So Chicago got 3 field goals and then the touchdown from the punt return. The block punt return and then interception return.
I'm going to give you some quarterback numbers. Tell me whether this quarterback won the Super Bowl or not. 13 for 23, 141 yards, no touchdowns, interception, 5 sacks. Got sacked 5 times.
Is that's a performance from what? His first game?
No. I'm just that's a Super Bowl performance.
So a quarterback played in the Super Bowl and did that.
With those numbers.
One. I don't think you would have asked.
You know who that was? Yeah. You know who that was? That was the Peyton Manning year with the great defense that Denver had. Yeah. And I'm not saying that Caleb's going to play that poorly. I'm just saying he got to win. He got started. I think he can relax knowing that he has I think that helps a lot. I really do, Chris, that you know that you don't have to force it. You don't want to be one of those guys, and I'm sure he's humbled by it. This guy was a top pick. He was the Heisman Trophy winner. There aren't many Saturdays, I'm sure, or now Sundays, where he played that poorly, and I'm sure that could make him focus in on what he needs to do and how he needs to get better without the bravado or I'm that guy and I'm that or whatever it is. This is a humbling experience that I think can help him.
Well, I do think it was good for him because whatever he's going to become, this was good for him. Because, one, it lowered the expectations. I mentioned to you, Nick Wright and some others have picked them to go to the Super Bowl.
Who else? Somebody else?
I've heard just various pundits, not a ton, but I've heard other people talk about that.
I just thought the Super Bowl. Wow.
Even most people have them that I've seen have them making the playoffs, and they might, especially with Jordan Love getting hurt for the Packers.
He might be out for 4 games.
But expectations are fairly high. So I think and even for him individually, Rob. I mean, we saw him perform in the preseason where he had a couple of spectacular plays. To the point where people ripped Bill Belichick for just being like, he was all right in the preseason. Like, I mean, this is the GOAT coach, won 6 Super Bowls, and people are ripping him because he refused to bow down and say the kid was great. And what Belichick and others knew was that preseason is nothing. We saw it last year, and you've seen it years before too. But Kenny Pickett was great last year in the preseason for the Steelers. Terrible in the regular season. This year,
is Kenny Pickett, where is he now?
I forgot where.
Rob G, is he in the league?
Backup somewhere. He's in the league.
Okay.
Yeah. But and I think it was good because it lowered expectations. Now, people aren't expecting him to light it up every weekend, and I think people really were thinking he was going to come out and do something similar in a different style, but similar to C.J. Stroud. And now I think already expectations are a little lower. Secondly, I think to your point, Rob, and I don't know that he was getting a big head. I'm not saying he was, but it humbles you.
Chris, there's no way he was not humbled. I mean,
he would only be human, Rob, if he played the way he did in the preseason and was like, oh, it's about to be on. This is the Pac-12 all over again. I'm about to light these people up. Remember, he sent the text to the punter of the Bears saying, you're not going to punt much here. So he thought he was about to step in and just go crazy. And now his attitude should be, I got to get in the lab because I'm not nearly as good as I think I am or that I can be. And so I do agree, if he's made of the right stuff, then this will help him. It will just humble him, make him work harder. And there's certainly no reason for him to be discouraged. It's just a reason for you to say, all right, I got to get a lot better.
Right.
And he probably saw a lot of different coverages that he didn't see in the preseason and all types of things. The game's a lot faster. He's not going to be able to run away from, defenders the way he did in college. Yes, sometimes, but not at will like he did in college. So I do think it was good. He played really badly, though. I mean, like I said, you couldn't find a quarterback, number one pick in the last 10 years, who in certain ways played as badly as he did. He did. Now, some of those quarterbacks had interceptions, Rob. He at least didn't do that. But he definitely has to, get better. I'm with you. I don't have the Bears. I think that's nuts to have them going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I like that wasn't even on my radar. Right. I mean,
they could get in there.
Yeah, that wasn't on my radar at all. That's why when I hear Super Bowl, I know people were looking to try to find somebody in the NFC, but the Bears?
No,
really?
That's and now, Rob G, what's the latest on Rome Odunze? He had his knee looked at, the receiver. He had an MRI. I don't think anything's come out yet. All right.